Hello, all. An aspect of the EPPP that a lot of people talk about is feeling like they're failing while they're taking the exam. Now, I also felt that way, and when I left the test, I actually thought that I did fail until I saw the one piece of paper, and then I realized that I actually passed the EPPP. But it is actually normal for you to feel like you are failing the test as you're taking it. But do not be discouraged by that because you actually may be doing a lot better than you feel like you're doing. The only thing that you really can do is prepare for the exam. How you're going to feel during the exam, as much as people tell you, oh, don't be nervous, you got it, don't be anxious, you're going to do well, that really doesn't tend to do a whole lot in terms of decreasing your stress and your anxiety on test day. Now, I actually was not very anxious when I was actually taking the test. Now, leading up to the test, I was very stressed out, and I did think that I was going to fail the exam. When I was taking the practice tests, I was not doing well up until a certain point. When I joined Prepjet, I started doing a whole lot better on the practice exams. However, I still was not getting scores high enough that I felt comfortable with it. But at the same time, I had been studying for so long that I just was ready to take it, and I took it. And again, although I felt like I was failing, I wasn't very anxious taking the test. I thought that, well, if I don't pass, then I'll be back here. Although that's not what I wanted to do, I did still have opportunities to retake the exam. And so that's kind of what you have to think about going into it. You don't have to necessarily resign yourself to, oh, well, I'm just going to fail and this is going to be it. You do still have other times to take it, although this is a very expensive test and you do not want to retake this exam. This is not an exam that you want to retake because it takes a lot of studying. It's an expensive test and it's just annoying. You want to be able to move on and do things that you really wanted to do. You know, when I was studying for this test, I was just thinking about all of the possibilities that I was going to have as a fully licensed psychologist. And that's what I was thinking about. And I was thinking that if I don't pass this, then all of those opportunities that I want for myself, they're just going to go by. And I just did not want that. And I studied and I studied. And so I did the 2.5 hours a day. Now, let me just say this. At the time, when I first started studying, I was not working full time. I finished my last year working in the schools, and I studied on and off at that point, but then I really started studying around August, and then that was around the time I just wasn't doing very well, and I joined Prepjet in October, and like I said, by that time I just was just already drained from studying, but I kept with it, and I did the Big Six with Prepjet, and I just took it. Now. Again, I know that it is very hard to go into test day thinking that you're just not ready. But please do not go back and start changing a bunch of answers. You know, that's one thing that Scott Abels, the president of Prepjet, told tells you is he said don't go back and start changing a bunch of things and all of that stuff. And I did not. I flagged a couple of several of the questions, and then I went back and I answered those. Uh, but I did not change any of my answers from previous questions because I just knew that if I did that, then you start second guessing yourself, and then you change one, and then you're changing another one, and then you're changing all of these questions, and then you may be changing it to the wrong answer. So, those that was some really good advice during my studying and using PrepJet, and so if you go in on test day and are feeling like you're failing the exam, don't give up and then just start guessing on stuff, because a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people, like I said, including myself, felt like I was failing while I was taking it. It is normal to feel that way. So don't go and stress yourself out even more and then just start guessing and flying through the test, because then you may mess yourself up. So just stay the course. And if you do fail, then you can retake it. I do understand that in certain provinces and things like that, there's a cap on the amount of times you can take it within a year. And then if you meet a cap, then you have to do other things. But just don't make careless mistakes when you are taking this test because you feel like you're failing. Don't do that. Just stay the course. All right. So I just wanted to come. I'm trying to help people as much as possible with questions and with thoughts about the test and things surrounding the EPPP, because I know it's very stressful. I know it is very stressful. I was stressed out while studying for it, and if you look at my other videos, I tell you I underestimated the EPPP just because I had taken a couple of licensing exams before, and the EPPP is so much different. So much more different than those tests, the NCE, the National Counselor Examination, and then the School Psych Practice Exam. This EPPP is so much more different than those exams, and you're going to be tested on the EPPP on so many things that have nothing to do with what you want to do as a psychologist. And it's just it just feels like a melting pot of information that you're never going to use. But on test day, stay the course. Do not go back changing a bunch of your answers. Do not start clicking around and just answering stuff because you feel like you're failing. It is normal to feel like you're going to fail the exam. Again, for the third time, I felt like I was failing the exam when I came out, and I was like, well, I already resigned myself to retake it again, but I passed it. I used Prepjet. I did the Big Six. I always will tell people, do a little bit more than the Big Six. Get yourself a little leeway there, because you're undoubtedly going to forget some of the information on the Big Six in physiology and organizational psych and ethics and stuff. And so give yourself a little wiggle room there. So study a little bit more than the Big Six, but you don't have to focus so much on all of these other things that they're not really going to ask you a lot of questions on. So I just wanted to come on and tell you all a little bit more about the EPPP, a little bit more about what a lot of people say that they experience during the EPPP. And please let me know if you all have any questions. I hope that you all are doing well. I hope you all have a fantastic summer, and I'll be back with more videos later.